Welcome back to Valen Hark's Learn Japanese Language Adventure Course class time. Look, we're not going to do a review today. And you know why? Because you've earned it. You've gone ahead and done all of hiragana and katakana, and you've done some crazy combination sounds, of which there are still some left. I will tell you that right now, but they're not things that you need to learn ahead of time. We'll encounter those as we come across certain words, and then I'll point out and say, hey, look, this is one of those words. But we're not going to go over that just yet. Queen of Scotland is here with the hello. Hello to you, Queen of Scotland. Welcome. We are going to start out today with going directly into some vocabulary, some new vocabulary words. I'm going to teach you some new Japanese, and then I'm going to start going over some structure, basic structure of the language. Aaron Libra is here as well. Good day, sir. Good day to you, my good Aaron Libra. Welcome to the both of you. Glad to see you all here. So, hey, let's jump right on in here, shall we? Boom. It's the screen that I write on. And last time what I wrote on it was love. And we went over aishiteru. How to tell your favorite person that you love them. Versus Brightside 1985. Hello from Scotland. Hello to you. Over in Scotland. What time is it in Scotland right now? It is very early here in Japan for me. And, well, you know, I like to do this at complete random time slots. Not because I'm lazy and procrastinate. It's because I'm trying to make sure my viewers around the world can enjoy the stream. And so we've got love right here, right? I'm going to teach you how to say you love other stuff. Like, if you're going to say I love you to somebody, you're going to use I. If you're in a serious conversation about, like, you're really confessing your love to them, right? In any other case, you're not going to say that. You're going to say daisuki. Okay? So you can use this with people, but more importantly, you can use it with things like pizza, or roller coasters, or taking long walks on the beach. You want to tell somebody you really love taking long walks on the beach, okay? You're gonna say daisuki, okay? And yeah, if you said like pizza, which by the way is pizza, one of the few waseigo that actually makes sense. It's 23:15 at the moment. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on and on my channel right now. All right, I know it's an odd time for people all around the world, and I do appreciate that. Daisuki is more importantly used for, like, if you're gonna say pizza o aishiteru, if you're gonna say I love pizza using aishiteru, you're gonna sound really weird. Like, it's gonna sound like way too serious, like you're actually trying to marry pizza or something. Don't do it, okay? Use daisuki. All right, you can use daisuki for anything, including people, okay? So if you want to say you love somebody, and you don't want to commit to aishiteru, because that is like the pinnacle of love, right? This word that we went over last time is the pinnacle of love. Daisuki is still, I love you, it's right, but it's not that top notch yet. So most people, even in committed relationships, will still use this, okay? But it can also be used for things that you like pizza and that kind of stuff. On the topic of time, Aaron Libra says, I actually finished dinner, decided to have eggs, tater tots, and ham. Evening breakfast is great. Wish I had bacon instead, though, but I'm out. Haha. Well, Aaron, that is a terrible predicament to find yourself in. And you know, Aaron, you could say you wanted bacon because you love bacon. And how do you say bacon in Japanese? Well, you say bacon. And as a matter of fact, if we went and typed that in Japanese, I bet you it's gonna come up. Look at that. Your pal Valen knows how to speak and say bacon, right? There it is. Bacon. Bacon ga daisuki desu. Bacon ga daisuki. Right. So we're gonna learn first this vocabulary today. We're gonna go over a few vocabulary. I'm gonna throw a bunch of vocab at you because here's how this class is gonna work now that we're done with hiragana and katakana. Now that you should be able to read this stuff and write it, hopefully. And if you can't, keep throwing them into your rotation. That's important, because these words will be in your rotation too if you're following along with the class. Bacon, great segue, exactly. So we're gonna go over this first, and how do we do that? We come over here and type it. Right, daisuki. Press space and it's probably gonna come up, right? And there it is, and you'll notice that one of the characters is hiragana, it's ki. So that one's easy. These two, well, one of them you know, hopefully, if you've been following the class. We went over daigaku. Actually, last class, I think. This one, remember this one? Big study, aka university. Daigaku. Well, today, it's also showing up in daisuki, big. And remember, I told you, big is, it's a useful one, it's important. And you'll see daisuki says lovable, very likable, like very much. Okay, and this will probably confuse native English speakers because these are very different words with different grammar. Sometimes I don't appreciate how Jisho writes things, I gotta be honest. It should just say, yeah, love. Okay? Really like or love. Okay? And so let's just look at this one more time. Stroke order, boom. 1, 2, and 3. And then you come over to your little notebook and you throw it in your rotation and you go 1, 2, 3. Die. And it's got a little limp toe there for some reason, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. All right. Move over to this character here. Fond, pleasing, like something. All right. Until you're at a high level in Japanese, by the way, don't read these. Don't bother, because it's going to confuse you. You're not going to know what's going on here. You're going to think, oh, if I write this character by itself, it means fond? No. Kanji by itself is very rarely written. Just do what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm saying, all right? Let's check the strokes. Look at that. Fairly simple. We've done this one before. Cool. Let's stroke it out, okay? Daisuki, right? We wrote dai, and now we're gonna do this part, right? And do something like, well, see, if you look at this font here, it looks like it's all one, but technically these are 2 different strokes, okay? And remember, I like to write ko sloppily all in 1 stroke like that, and then give it the tail, but it's technically 2 strokes. 1, 2, and then you add on the 3rd, okay? That's dice, right? Dice. We need the daisuki, all right? There it is, daisuki. So how do you want to say I love something and not sound like a crazy person by using I instead of daisuki? Basically, what's this? Ga. Aaron Libra whispers, teacher said stroke it out. Lol. Aaron, Aaron, are you passing notes back there? Bring that to the front of the class. Let me see that. What is this? What does this say? Teacher said stroke it out. Aaron, you know what? Yeah, you class clown, you. Detention. Yeah, I will see me after class. These kids these days. So what we gotta say, whatever you really like or love, you put right there, away from my head. Like, you know, what, pizza? No, not pizza. We love bacon in this class. Bacon. Ga. And then you throw on the daisuki. Ga. Daisuki. Very easy. And you're gonna immediately say, what is ga? Please, Valen teacher, tell me what ga means in English. Can't do that. We don't have a ga in English. And depending on the context, it can mean so many different things in English. And 2 grammar particles that confuse the crap out of beginners in Japanese are wa, which we've gone over. That's part of the is bucket. Remember, wa something des means is something, right? So that's probably where you know wa from so far, because that's all I've taught you so far. But there is also ga, right? Pronounced wa, pronounced ga, okay? These two are used, well, let me say this. To beginners, it would seem like they're used in the same ways. They're used like almost like is for so many different situations. Don't touch the mic, Valen, don't touch it. They're used in so many different situations that's going to confuse you at the start. So what I want you to do right now is don't worry about it. Trust that I will tell you all the time what they mean until you have the intuition in your own mind to decipher them. And that's how it works, okay? There's no use getting worked up over it. Like, I can't figure out when I want to make my own sentence, when should I use wa and when should I use ga? You're not going to be able to figure that out by yourself until you're some ways into the study, okay? So just, look, lean on me, okay? Lean on your teacher here, lean on Valen. That's what I'm here for. So for now, all I want you to know is if you say something, ga, daisuki, and then if you wanted to actually complete the sentence and be grammatically correct, you would add this, right? And there's the period. Bacon ga daisuki desu. I love bacon, right? And if you wanted to really, get down into the gritty nitty of the grammar, you could also technically translate it as, I really like bacon, right? It depends on the context, it depends on the speaker, it depends on their tone of voice, if you have access to that, if it's not just text, right? There's so many different reasons why I would translate it as, I love bacon compared to I really like bacon. But for now, we're just learning love, okay? So, you'll notice, remember before I said wa, and then something des would be the is bucket, right? Is. So if we said bacon wa something des, we would be saying bacon is something. But we're using ga. So what's going on here? It's still kind of a bucket, right? Ga something des. But we're not saying is in this case. And it's very confusing, I know. Whoa, don't do that. Because, let me put that back. You're gonna see the bucket and you're gonna wanna say is, right? But that's not what's going on here. And this is gonna be the first one that's gonna start tripping you up. So, let's make things a little smaller here so I can introduce another piece of the pie here. Move you over. Okay. So if you want to complete this sentence even further, now, I told you Japanese is very context-driven, so you technically don't need this part. You could just say, bacon ga daisuki desu. And the listener will know by context that you're talking about yourself. You're saying, I love bacon. But, check this out. Now we're getting crazy. Remember your pal, watashi? I or me, right? Watashi wa bacon ga daisuki desu. Uh-oh! Wa is over here, but then we've got des over here. Is this all part of the is bucket? Oh, now we've got buckets inside of buckets. We don't want to do that, do we? Because that's a big bucket. And we're not ready for such a big bucket yet. So what I want you to know right now is, you're basically talking about yourself, right? But you're saying something that you love. So you're talking about yourself and saying something that you love, and that's all that's going on there. Watashi wa is basically, you're using the wa particle to connect yourself to the rest of the sentence. That's it. Okay? Now, do we need this? Do we need watashi wa? No, because like I said, it's clear by context. But if it wasn't clear by context, okay, and you just, and maybe you're just running around the streets yelling, I love bacon! You probably don't need watashi wa either. People would still think, oh, that guy's crazy, and he's clearly talking about himself, right? So if you weren't talking about yourself, and you wanted to make that very clear, we haven't learned kare or kanojo. Kare or kanojo is like he or she. We have learned anata. So you can say you. Anata wa All right. Can you say this grammatically? Technically, yes. あなたはベーコンが大好きです. You love bacon. You're like declaring that somebody else loves bacon for some reason. Yeah, that could work, I guess. It's a kind of a strange sentence, but it's making use of vocabulary that we've learned. So you know what? Go ahead and say that to your best friend. You go up right to your friend right now and say, あなたはベーコンが大好きです. It's so weird. Maybe don't do that. Maybe do it because it's funny to me, but don't do it in real life. Yeah. All right. So anyway, we're gonna see this again, but I want you to know because who was it? I believe it was Inaro who was talking about love and like, and Inaro said like how would I say I love Japan? You would not say Nihon. Nihon is Japan, right? You would not say Nihongo aishiteru. Nihongo aishitemasu. You would not say that because that's like actual like love in terms of like husband and wife type love. It's weird to say that about Japan. You'd say Nihon ga daisuki. Nihon ga daisuki desu if you want to be more complete. And if you want to be super complete, watashi wa Nihon ga daisuki desu. Okay, boom. What an excellent thing to learn. Thank you, In Arrow, for bringing this up. Because it's not even part of the chapter that we're going over right now, but it's, come on. Don't you want to say love right out the gate? So that's what we have gone over just now, and we're also going to go over, bring it on back to your list of vocabulary here. The next one, because last time we learned daigaku, we're also going to go over byouin, hospital. All right? We've encountered too much love, and now we have come down with a sickness. Love sickness, and there's only one place to go for that. The hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Where are we going? Let's go over here. There it is. And we're gonna go over the stroke order for this. This looks like a lot of strokes, all right? And we're gonna stroke it out again, because this is a lot of them. And I want you to calm down and relax because it's not that hard, all right? It's a bunch of lines. I say this all the time. People freak out when they see all these strokes. It's not a big deal, okay? Hopefully you're starting to get that with all the kanji that we've thrown under our belt so far. But there's one tiny thing I want to tell you real quick. And that is to be careful with the pronunciation here because this trips up beginners all the time. Because instead of saying hospital, they end up saying hair salon. Because if you say byouin, you're saying hair salon. Or hairstylist. I mean, there's a few different ways to say it, but anyway, it's where you go to get your hair did. Okay? What you want to be careful of is, look at this. Look at it. All right? Look at it real hard. Because I'm going to make it real big so you can look at it real hard. What's going on here? What's this? This is byo, right? Byo. It's not bio. What's the difference? Why is my stroke so... Don't say that, Valen. Why is my stroke so tiny? There we go. This, yo, is different from byo, right? We've gone over this because if you say byouin, you are now saying hairstylist. And as a matter of fact, bring it on over. Byouin, there it is. Byoshitsu mo. We have byoshitsu also. Enter. Okay. You see it? There it is. Byouin. Beauty parlor, beauty salon. Hairdressing salon. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so don't screw this up. I don't want you to learn this right now. I want you to learn hospital. Because we must learn the hospital before the beauty salon. It's much more important, okay? You can't get your hair done if you're dead. Boom. So, let's go over here and actually get the yo, right? You type BYO and it'll turn into big B, little yo. Yoing. Boom. There it is. Hospital, clinic, doctor's office, doctor's surgery, infirmary, hospital. Yeah, so why does it say clinic also? Because in English, hospital is really, I guess it depends on your dialect. But if you're from the United States, I know some of you are from Scotland and other places here, but if you said clinic, at least in U.S. English, that would be weird to construe it as a hospital. The hospital is like a big place where you go for serious stuff like surgery and, heart transplant. And Canada, yes, Canada as well. I'm actually curious if I know some places might use clinic as, like, I've heard the term, like, surgery clinic, for example. I'm not sure, though. But regardless, in Japanese, it usually just means hospital, like the stereotypical hospital that you would think of, a big building with, like, lots of doctors all specializing in, like, neurology and, endoscopy. Is that a thing that they specialize in? Surgery and all that stuff. And you go there if you got into a car accident, you're going to the hospital. All right, it's usually used like that. But sometimes smaller places with just a couple doctors, or maybe one doctor, like a clinic, they'll sometimes use the word byouin for that as well. Okay, so just know that. And let's give it a little clicky. All right. By itself, this kanji can be used in many words that have some kind of meaning to do with ill or sick or sickness, right? Down here, disease, something pathy, right? The suffix that we'd add on to a lot of words in English. And yeah, you'll see it's got a bunch of medical terms that it's associated with down here, right? Today we're learning hospital, and it's the start of hospital, so it would be using the onyomi, the byo. But you'll see that there are other pronunciations for it depending on the word. Let's click it and see the strokes. Okay. Some new radicals to learn today with this set. And let's give it a shot, shall we? Now, typically, like I said, you usually start top left to bottom right, and that's pretty much what's going on here. The illustrator's killing me today with the tiny strokes. I don't like it. I want a big fat one. This is a terrible episode. Delete that from YouTube. Future editing, Valen. Go back 5 seconds, delete that. Thank you. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and did it say that these are technically 3 strokes? Because I'm pretty sure it did, but usually I would just do that all in 1 stroke like that. Okay. And then we go like this. Aaron Libra, lol, I'll meet you at the principal's office when I go. Yeah, you do that, Aaron. You've been a bad Aaron today. Check this out. See that corner? Like I told you, that corner almost always is 1 stroke, and it is here again too as well. And then you give it the little inside thing, and there you go. You've got yourself byo. The byo portion of byoing. And we hit the old back button. We click the second one. And before admiring this scrumptious advertisement. 690 yen? Ooh. Kimchi bukake. Is that buta kimchi bukake? Look, guys, in English, when they say bukake, it's meaning a lot of different weird, bad things that we're not going to talk about. But bukake is actually, it just means like sprinkle on, all right? It does not have that connotation or nuance in Japanese. So if you start like giggling, you said bukake, Japanese people are going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Okay. OMG, Aaron. I know Aaron's the one who's going to be writing the notes, passing around class. Don't you be doing that. We're getting really seriously distracted here, and I do all the time. Click this. Because we want to see the stroke order for this part. The second part of hospital. There's a radical you're going to see all that time. That like bee-looking thing. With the long tail. Very easy. Top left to bottom right. It's written just like it looks, okay? Okay. Right? Give it the little B, and this is going to be huge. I don't know why I'm writing it so big, but what I want to stress to you here is look at the proportions, right? Remember, we're always imagining we're writing in a box, because some people will just go like this, and then they have like no room to write the rest of it, and they gotta like scrunch it down. Like that's just... So always when you have these like left to right or top to bottom kanji, check the proportions of where everything is first. You'll see that this one is much more narrow than the rest of it. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. So we give ourselves some nice breathing room here to complete the rest. And it's still not going to be perfect because I'm not a font machine, okay? I have a hand and I use it to write, all right? And if we want to be super stickler about it, we'd put that right there and we'd make it just a tiny bit more tiny, and that would be about it, okay? Byouin. You done it. We done hospital. Okay. So that completes the next portion of the vocabulary list. And what else we got on there, you know? We got some more. We've got denki and dare and donata as well, and I do want to go over those pretty soon, but maybe I think we were probably going to do those next time because I want to go over some structural points, kind of grammar points before we close out today. So we've gone over daigaku, we've gone over byouin today, and we've also gone over daisuki. Daisuki is not on your vocabulary list if you're following Minna no Nihongo for chapter 1. But I want you to throw daisuki into your rotation because I want you to learn and say love because we don't have enough of it in this world, and I want you to be a spreader of it, okay? So just know that it's not in here, but you're throwing it into your rotation, right? So let's get rid of this. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And we're going to move on over to here. Uh-oh, we got a lot of stuff on the screen, and it's only going to get worse. Well, we've got nouns, and we've got adjectives in Japanese, and you might say, but Valen, we've also got verbs, don't we? And yes, we do, but verbs got their own entire screen, and I'm going to go on to that in a second. I want to go over some more simple stuff first, which are the nouns and adjectives. Okay, nouns are, well, I'm going to use some words that we've already gone over because you know them, hopefully, and you know that they're nouns. Hito, right, means person. Gakusei means student. Namae, name. Kaisha, company. And what's this? Kaisha, nado? Valen, we haven't learned nado. What's nado? I'm going to tell you a very secret-y secret right now. Nado. Oh my god. Every day with Illustrator, it's something else. You know what I'm saying? Boom. Nado means etc. Oh. Boom. I said hito, gakusei, namae, kaisha, nado. Person, student, name, company, etc. Okay, and you'll notice, typically if we're being super strict in English, we probably want a comma before the etc. You don't need the comma in Japanese. There is a comma in Japanese. You don't need it before the word for etc., which is nado. Okay, nado is not the purpose of today's lesson, but I thought, you know what? Why don't I just treat my students today? Why don't I give them a little ice cream cone in the form of the word etc. And I have done that now, and I hope you're happy because that's what it is. Okay, so nouns, there's not much to talk about them. They're pretty much equivalent to English. Like if you have an English noun, you probably have it in Japanese, and it's just a noun, just like you would expect. However, with adjectives, there are, and you do not need to know these Japanese words. We have not gone over these vocabulary words, but there are two types of adjectives here, e-adjectives and non-adjectives. Before we move on here, we've got Aaron Libra. When it comes to punctuation then, would there be lots of situations where it would change the meaning drastically by mistake? For punctuation, like comma, well, you're probably getting into things like the Oxford comma. And let me tell you, I am a strict follower of the Oxford comma, and I cannot understand people who do not use it. If you're going to use nado in cases of etc., that's not a problem. However, the Japanese Oxford comma, I suppose it does exist. If you had a long list of things, you would use the comma just like you would use it in English. The exception to that right now that I'm showing you is nado just simply does not need the comma. It just doesn't. It just means etc., and you just throw it on to whatever's at the end of the list. For in this case, kaisha for company, etc. And that's it. And nado, we tend not to use etc. too much in English. They go crazy with nado. They throw that on everything. When I'm translating from Japanese to English, there's so many sentences where they throw on nado for etc. And I'm just like, I can't say etc. here. That's going to sound stupid in English. And it's overused in Japanese, I will say that. So, yes, good question. There are cases where it would change the meaning if you screwed up the punctuation, but pretty similar to those cases in English. That's what I'll say about that. So for adjectives, we've got I adjectives and na adjectives. And remember, this I in Romaji, Roman alphabet, is in Japanese pronounced I, right? And I have highlighted it right here as well. And I have thrown on the furigana, the reading, also referred to as ruby in like processors like Word and stuff like that. And that's so you can read these kanji. And if you're reading like children's books and stuff and they throw kanji in there for like children, they will often throw on the reading in hiragana above it like this, so that you can read it without knowing the kanji yet. And so you can read this, omoshiroi, right? This is all attached, all one word, omoshiroi, interesting or funny. Of course, depending on the context. And this is an example of an I adjective. And why is it an I adjective? Because it simply ends in I. And you can attach it to a word to say, for example, omoshiroi hito. Okay, let's throw on the examples real quick. Example, omoshiroi hito. Interesting person. That's it. You got your noun, you've got your I adjective, and you just, boom, throw them together, and you've done it. You've got omoshiroi hito, right? So if you want to bust out your full Japanese right now, you want to make your own sentence immediately. Phelan, I want to make my own sentence now. We've gone too long with you speaking, and I haven't been able to make my own sentence. Check this out. Boom. And then we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. I mean this. Anata wa omoshiroi hito desu. What have I said here? If you've been following the class up to now, you should be able to decode this fairly quickly. I have said, anata wa, you, and is bucket, alert, is bucket, wa, des, something in between them. However, would we say you is in English? No, we would not. So how would we translate this? You are. Remember I told you, there is no distinction between is and are in Japanese. It's easier than English, because you only have one option, wa and des. Anata wa omoshiroi hito desu. You are an interesting person. And notice I threw on the word an. You don't need that in Japanese either. Easier. Aaron Libra, I know there's a delay here, so you probably wrote that hopefully before I said it. Aaron Libra says, you are an interesting person. Good job, Aaron, and thank you so much for the compliment. Funny jokes brought to you by Valen Hark. All day, every day, all night. Much obliged. Yes, so literally translated, you are interesting person, but you are an interesting person is how I would translate it correctly, right? You just don't need the an in Japanese. So that's it. Boom, you done it. Could you replace this with something else? Could you say, what's this? Do you remember this word? Sensei. Sensei wa omoshiroi hito desu. Teacher is interesting person. Probably correctly translated, it would be like the teacher is an interesting person, right? When you're translating from Japanese to English, you have to throw in those extra words that just don't exist in Japanese. Kimi wa. Aaron wants to say kimi wa. Kimi wa omoshiroi hito desu. Yes, you could use this for you in like a kind of familial sense, or you gotta be careful with this because this can sometimes sound condescending too. But it would sound a little strange using this with like des, because kimi is so like informal and casual, and des is kind of like a little bit polite and not casual. You probably want to use da. Da is the informal version of des, which I don't think we've gone over yet. Good point. Tons of things that I have to introduce to you guys that I will forget all the time. And it is thanks to your beautiful questions that I will remember to teach them to you, because I take them for granted. I already know them. They're in my head. They're not in your head yet, and my goal is to put them in there. Yes, good example. So, let's get rid of those examples again, real quick, because I want to move on to the na adjectives. And what's the difference here? Well, number one, you're going to see I wrote na here, and I did not put any na over here, right? There's no delicious magenta. This is my favorite magenta. I use this all the time. I have the actual code for it so that I don't forget. It's seared into my head. And I'm not going to tell you because it's a secret, but I don't have it here, right? Why? Because the adjective itself, for example, shizuka, which means quiet. The adjective by itself does not have na at the end. So if we looked at e adjectives, omoshiroi, this word has e in it. We do not put that e on it or in it to attach it to the word like hito that follows it. We don't throw e in there to attach it. This is part of the word. If we go look this up right now, omoshiroi, you'll notice it comes up when I hit space, and it contains the e, right? There it is. So this is all one word. However, if we look up shizuka and leave the ka and don't add na, you'll notice there is no na here. It does say, though, na adjective. And what's going on here? Two types of adjectives in Japanese. Words that contain e at the end, and for those words, you just attach it to the noun that you're trying to talk about. You're trying to adjectivize. Omoshiroi hito, for example, right? For na adjectives, they do not come with an attachment. You must add it. You must take a na. You have to add it to the end. Shizuka na hito, for example. All right, so let's throw the examples back on here real quick. You'll notice there it is. There's the beautiful magenta character. Shizuka na hito. Can we say the rest of that last sentence? Anata wa shizuka na hito desu. You are a quiet person. Yes, you can. So the only difference in constructing sentences with these two different types of adjectives is if the adjective comes fully equipped out of the factory with an e at the end, you do not have to add anything. There are rare exceptions to this that I will teach you later. Like kirei, pretty. Kirei na hito. You have to add na to that. But 99.9% of cases, this is how it works. And an adjective will either have e at the end or it will not. And if it doesn't, you add na to attach it to the noun, right? Shizuka na hito, quiet person. What is this? Genki. Genki, energetic or cheerful. You'll probably hear this a lot if you watch the anime. All right, this is another one that pops up a lot. So this is a kind of a word that a lot of people have some experience with. Genki na hito. Energetic, cheerful person. And this one actually has a lot of translations. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna introduce you to Weblio real quick. As a translator, I use Weblio all the time because what you want to do in here, if you want exact, so just like Google, if you want an exact result that only contains and must contain all of the words that you've typed in, put it in between quotations. And you would type Genki na, for example. Now, why is this great? Because this second tab here, if you go to Weblio, which, what is it? ejje.weblio.jp, or just type Weblio in Google, it'll pop up. The first tab that will show up is this one. This is just a dictionary, and it's kind of annoying to use. That's why I use Jisho as a dictionary. But when I want to see example sentences, this right here says example sentences. Specifically, it says English example, but it's going to show you both the Japanese and the English, and you can type up here in English or Japanese, okay? And it's going to show you, in context, example sentences. 99% of the time, these are going to be perfect native translations. Like, they'll source it from all sorts of different places. So it's not like an automatic translator. Stay far away from those, like I've told you a long time ago. But this is a good one to see because you can see in what context is the word translated in this way and what context is it translated another way, right? For example, genki na kodomo, right? Can we make this a little bigger there? There we go. Energetic kids, right? Genki na egao, right? Cheerful smile. Genki na kokoro. Hey, we learned kokoro the other day, right? Because that was inside of the word for love, for ai, right? Genki na kokoro, happy heart. So, and these are kind of really simple examples. If you keep going, Genki na is like, there's going to be a billion examples for that. So it's going to start typically with the most simple example sentences, but as you go further down, and if you go into the next page and the next page, you'll start getting more complicated sentences. And these are the sentences you want to look at, because they'll really show you, like, in this context, no. In this context, yes. If you're trying to say, for example, cheerful or something like that. Okay, so that's what's going on here with Weblio. Very useful. I will go into more depth about Weblio later, because it's super useful for translation. And it can be useful for you studying as well. But for now, that's what's going on there. So we've got nouns, adjectives, and na adjectives, okay? Has that sunk in? We will review these again later, and they'll pop up all the time. But for now, that's what it is, and I want to show you. But Valen, what about the verbs? Those are important. Yes, they are. Uh-oh. That's a lot of stuff right on the screen right there. And this is a big box, and I want to make it tinier. There you go. Okay. Aaron Liba just says, oh, wow. Yeah. He's putting down his notes over there, and he's coming to the front of the class, and he's stopping goofing off, because he knows he has to study all of this immediately, because it's a doozy. So, just like adjectives, we have the e and na adjectives. We have, for verbs, suru verbs and non-suru verbs, okay? So this is gonna look like a doozy, but actually, I'm gonna hopefully make you happy here, Aaron, because it's not that difficult. And actually, Aaron just says right there, it's actually not too bad, though. It's kind of the same from when I was learning French as a child. Exactly. I say exactly as if I know French. I don't. My grandfather is French, but I don't speak a lick of French. Maybe that's my next adventure. So basically, we're gonna take baby steps here, and it's all gonna make sense, and it's all gonna be fine. Because really what's going on here is, I'm showing you all this to give you examples, but this is what's going on here. There's two types, and that's it. Suru verbs and non-suru verbs. So, for example, I. Remember when we went over I for love? Like serious love? I, by itself, is a noun. By attaching suru, and remember, do we remember what, let me throw these back in there so I don't lose them. Remember what suru is? Let's go over here. Shizuka, get out. Suru, get in. Remember this? Just means do, to do. That's literally what it is. And it's added, you can add this to a lot of nouns to turn them into verbs. And the only verbs you cannot add them into to turn them into, or only nouns that you cannot add them to turn them into verbs are this list here. Any verb that ends like this is not taking a noun and attaching suru, obviously. It's attaching, well, utsuru kugu. But first things first, suru verbs. You take a noun, you attach suru, and now it's a verb. So I, which literally is the noun for love. I is the noun for love. And if we throw on do, I do love, well, you're not saying do love correctly translated in English. You're just saying love as a verb, right? If you say aisuru, okay? And another example, we learned kenkyu. Kenkyusha. Remember we learned kenkyusha, which means researcher, and I told you when we learned that if you got rid of sha and just said kenkyu, well, you're removing the from researcher. You're saying research. And so what are we saying here? Kenkyu is the noun research, right? Like my research, right? It could be referring to your papers, or it could just be referring to like the abstract concept of your research on very cute babby kitties. I had to say that because I have to throw in a cute babby kitty for YouTube. Trust me. You're not going to see that here on Twitch, sorry. But tune in later and like and subscribe after I show you a picture of a beautiful cat. Okay, so research is the noun for, or kenkyu is the noun for research. And if we throw on do, suru, now we're saying research as a verb, okay? So people will right away think, oh boy, I can just go take any old noun in Japanese and turn it into a verb. That's exciting. I can't wait to turn every noun into a verb. No, stop, in the name of the law. Halt, you cannot do that. There are nouns that can be turned into verbs and nouns that cannot. For example, if we took this character here, which would be pronounced uta, and you can even see it right there. Uta. What is uta? Uta is song. Can I say uta suru and turn it into sing? No. Wrong. Very bad words. You know what you would say? You would say utao. And now we're saying, why am I doing this with a mouse when I have a pen right in my hand? Sing. Utao. Okay? And I'm going to go down the list here and tell you what these all mean, because I don't want to take up too much time with this. But here's what's going on. Matsu. Wait. Kuru. Come. Kaku. Write. Oyogu. Swim. Shinu. Die. Suddenly, things have gotten very heated here in the classroom. Why did Valen use shinu as the example for new verbs? Because it's really the only example there is. There's like almost no verbs that use nu. And shinu is like the one that comes to the top of my head. There might be a couple others, but nothing that comes to the top of my head. So, all right, let's move on. Manabu, right? Study. Aaron Lieber says, that's jerk. That's how I like it in here, okay? Yasumu. Rest. It can also be used in cases where you say, like, take a day off. Right? Like from work. You could just say yasumu. Okay? Hanasu. Speak, or depending on the context, can also be used like talk. Okay? And am I writing these all here because I'm asking you to throw these into your rotation and learn them? No. That's a lot of words to throw at you suddenly, and if you start doing that, you will start forgetting them immediately. Remember, we always take it slow in chunks. The slow and steady approach to Japanese is the approach that works. Other approaches will make your head explode and quit studying, and we don't want that. So don't do that. I do not want you to memorize these right now. If you think you're a slick dog by memorizing these, bad. See me after class. Detention. Because what I want you to focus on right now is understanding what's happening here, because we're going to learn these naturally through creating and studying sentences as we move on. All right, we're going to take them slowly. What I want you to understand is that for non-suru verbs, they're just words that end in u, tsu, ru, ku, gu, nu, bu, mu, or su. Okay, and do you need to now memorize this list and be like, okay, I gotta be on the lookout for these? No, you don't need to memorize that either. You just need to know that whenever you're, from here on out, constructing a verb, it's going to fall into one of these two cases here, for sure. Okay, this is it. This is all there is for verbs. So now whenever you see a kanji attached to a hiragana like this, even if you don't have trusty teacher Valen at your side, you can probably deduct, hey, this is probably a verb, okay? And you can go ahead and look it up because, hey, for example, let's take yasumu. Say you come across this and you want to look it up and know what it is. You'll see here, it tells you what it is, and it tells you to be absent, to take a day off, to rest, to have a break, just like I said. And it's going to say goldan verb with a mu ending. So it's going to tell you. You don't need to know about goldan or any of that crap right now. That's just like the classification of what type of verb it is. It doesn't mean anything to you right now. Here's what it's telling you, though. Verb with a mu ending. right? And let's say you just put the kanji there. What's going to happen? It's going to say, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to say yasumu, or are you trying to say yasumi? Right? Because yasumu would be a verb. Yasumi would be a noun. And note, this does not say, this right here does not say suru noun, does it? Because if it said suru noun, you could say yasumi suru, and that's not a thing. Because in order to turn this noun into a verb, you're actually changing the ending of the word. You're changing this mi to a mu. Okay? So this is a lot to take in right now. You do not need to memorize any of this. I want you to understand this basic what's going on here right now, because as we move along, it's going to help you understand why certain words are the way they are. Because you're gonna, if I just instantly started giving you sentences and we started making our own sentences with verbs in them, and sometimes you saw suru and sometimes you didn't, and you saw instead seemingly random hiragana at the end, you'd be like, how's that a verb? Because the last time you told me aisuru was the verb and I thought I need suru. So that's why I'm showing you this right now before we move on, okay? This is important stuff to know. And it'll come in handy later for when we start going over stuff. And when we start using verbs, I will point out, hey, look, we're using suru here. This is a suru verb. Hey, look, we're using ru at the end of this verb. This is a ru verb, for example, right? And it will also help you in conjugating the verbs, because later on, when we want to say things like sing, ing, right? In English, we have to add ing to the end for the, what is it, present perfect? I don't know. Those stupid classification words in English always, it's like, that does not help. Like, third grade me is not going home and thinking about present perfect participles. And like, why do they teach it that way? I'm not teaching it that way, all right? I will, if I can remember to, I will tell you what they are just in case it's useful for you. But for me, that was always like, you're just making it more confusing by throwing in these like words that I also have to study to understand. Like, what? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tell you in the simple terms, like it's the ing in English, for example, right? Present perfect tense, present tense, right? You're doing something. So if you wanted to say singing, it's going to help you conjugate, because for each one of these hiragana, there's different ways to conjugate them. Utatteru. Yeah, I think so, yeah. For example, matteru, kaiteru, right? For ku verbs, a lot of the times, you'll add e. It won't use ki. For example, anyway, it's gonna get real confusing if I start going into this now. I'm not gonna go into this now. Stop, Valen, stop. You're gonna confuse everybody. But that's why it's good to understand these right now before we start moving on. So Aaron says, is there an easy way to structure a table or something for this, like what was done with the hiragana and katakana? For verbs, I'm sure there are tables for conjugation. Like, if you're using u, here's how it would get conjugated. And if you're using tsu, here's how it would get conjugated. But for just verbs by themselves, there's, as you can imagine, there's like, thousands of verbs, right? So you would, there's not really a table that's going to show all the verbs, no. If you want a table that just shows the different types of verbs that are available, this is it right here. This is what I've constructed. These examples obviously are just examples. So there's, it's not just utao in the u column, right? It's going to be 1,000 different verbs that end in u. The important thing is that they end in u. These ones end in tsu, right? Aaron Lieber says, yeah, all right. Yeah, kind of a silly question, I guess. Not a silly question. Yeah, no, totally understand. But I think the answer to your question is pretty much this right here. This is the simplest chart, I guess you can make, because there, as far as I know, I don't think there are other. Are there zu? Well, that would technically be grammar. Yeah, this is the simple endings to all verbs. Okay, they're gonna be verbs that sometimes end in different things compared to this, but that's gonna be because they've been changed through some sort of like grammar conjugation. So this is as simple as it gets right here, I think. As a matter of fact, if you head on over to the trusty Wikipedia for Japanese, like Japanese verb conjugation, for example, things are going to get confusing real quick, but they do love their charts over there. And for example, if you want to start conjugating things like right away, I'm not going to go over conjugations right now because we take this class slow so that everybody can understand and absorb. But if you want to look at this before I do go over this, be my guest. You want to be a little study slick there? We're getting late into the episode now. I'm making up words. You can check this out. Bookmarked. Yes, there are actually a lot of these on Wikipedia. The Wikipedia has so many charts. It's actually very useful for Japanese. So verbs that end, for example, end in u. If you wanted to use the polite form, you would remove the u and insert imasu. For example, if we wanted to say, this is actually a good thing to go over now too before I close out, because I've been going over everything in the casual form, and you do not need to memorize this right now either, but if we wanted to say this in the polite form. So what's going on here? It's no longer utau, it's utaimasu. Utaimasu. Now we're being... I have to be careful saying polite because then people think this is not polite and they think this is rude. This is not rude, it's just not formal. Formal maybe is a better word. Formal / polite. Like for example, you could use these forms, the casual forms, with your boss at work if you have a friendly relationship with them or if you've been working together for a while. But if you, for example, just started at the job, anytime you're using verbs and stuff in your sentences, you most likely will probably want to use the polite or formal version of the verb, right? And so this is something that you'll have to study separately. But typically when I studied verbs by myself, because remember, I am self-taught, never took a class in my life, I, in my rotation, would throw in the casual form and the polite form at the same time, and I would study them both at the same time, because why not? If you're already learning this kanji here, it doesn't take much more effort to throw on different hiragana at the end, just so you know. And you're going to notice, you're going to start feeling the patterns arise. Like anytime you have a word that ends in u, or a verb that ends in u, I should say, and you're trying to formalize it or make it more polite, it's going to use, in most cases, imasu, right? Some other words won't use imasu. Instead, they will use chimasu, rimasu, kimasu, gimasu, nimasu. Basically, the u, tsu, ru, ku, gu, nu, bu, mu, su will all dictate what formal hiragana gets thrown onto the end, right? So this is kind of a separate lesson, and I'll go over this again later, but just so you know, there are formal and polite versions of verbs. That is a good thing to go over. And this chart here will also show you how to turn it into like potential form, conditional form, volitional form, whatever that means. I will go over these later too. We're going to take them one at a time, basically. But yes, good question, Aaron Libra. I know that some people have a much easier time when they see it like all laid out in a chart, like the structure of things, right? For now, that chart is this. This is the chart that I want you to understand, and these are the examples that I want you to understand, okay? And, yeah, that about wraps it up, I think, for today. A little bit of a longer one, but I think from now on, some episodes might be shorter, some might be longer, because we're not just learning hiragana and katakana anymore. We're actually jumping into the real Japanese. Can you believe it? Look at all that we got done today, you know? Nouns, adjectives, and the start of our verbs. And that's it. So once you have this basic stuff under your belt, you can kind of start making sentences and start using a lot of the words that we've already gone over. Look, we're almost done with this list here. We've gone over a lot of them. And we're going to continue on with this because I'm going to start introducing you to kind of examples that they use in the book. Aaron Liba says, I'm almost a real boy. Yeah, you're getting there, Aaron. You're going to be a grown-up. You're You're gonna fly the coop and start using Japanese, and I'm gonna be so proud of you. And all the rest of you. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching with me. I've got some, I don't know, like ASMR style videos coming out. I did ASMR them on purpose, but me not talking, my grating, somewhat high-pitched, annoying voice is not in them at all. I just take these quiet videos around Japan. And I've gone around to some shrines and temples and sakura, cherry blossoms. I've been going around the past couple of days taking lots of high-definition 4K HD 60 frames per second video for your viewing pleasure. And I will be throwing those up on the YouTube. I just threw up it doesn't sound good. I posted a winter in Japan, northern Japan, Tohoku, that's where I live, the northern wastes. A video up there as well. And people seem to like it when I don't talk, and I'm going to do that for those. Because they're soothing. I like them. I like being soothed. That sounds awesome. Thank you, Aaron. I hope you enjoy them. And the shrine behind me. I sit at the shrine every time I teach you Japanese because it keeps me in the zone and focused. The shrine is in that winter video. You get a little behind the scenes of where I'm always sitting here, and maybe I'll change the shrine behind me to be springtime. Wouldn't that be nice? Because I do have a springtime shrine. Anyway, keep on the lookout for that. And hope to see you guys again for future classes. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you, Aaron, for coming in and asking the good questions. It always helps me teaching Japanese to hear the questions, because there's a lot of things that I don't even, like, they're just second nature to me in Japanese now, and I don't even think to tell you about them. So Aaron says, or set up a hidden camera there and get a real-time background. Well, maybe this is my real background, Aaron. Maybe I really am in front of a snowy shrine right now in the year 2162. There is no green screen behind me, Aaron. This is real life. And I am from the future. I am a time traveler and translator. And this episode's gone off the rails completely. So let me thank the followers. Thank you to Lenwi01, Deadly Biscuit 237. That's a deadly biscuit. Jenga 1, Kaichi Gaming, Erogaki 974. Erogaki. I'll leave that to you to look up if you want to know what that means in Japanese. Smelly Frog, spelled with a WG. I like it. Smelly Frog. And Doodle Maru. Thank you all, and thank you to Aaron and everybody else who popped up, Queen of Scotland and Mrs. Brightside and the rest of you. I do hope to see you all again. And with that said, I hope you have yourself a nice little day or evening or morning or whatever it is. And I'll see you later, so take care.